with a little hit, a little apple juice with a little hit. But let's get into the video. We're going to jump right in. This is what I was referring to. Let's just watch the video. I ain't got to always give y'all all the context. Let y'all watch it.
Last week, got into a little bit of a back and Elle Duncan late last week got into a little bit of a back and forth with Stephen A. Smith, and was it Shannon Sharp? Was the other person? I can't remember. But she played the C-section card. That they're talking about football. They're talking about how tough football is, and maybe it was after Tua got hurt or whatever.
So it definitely was after Tua got hurt. And so this is what we're going to talk about. Tua, don't ask me to pronounce his last name. Tagovailoa, not that hard. Tua Tagovailoa got hurt. He had another concussion. He's had a bit of a history with concussions. I believe this is either his fourth, or I think it's his fourth. And as far as what's been reported, third or the fourth, but he's had some bad ones where it's like he was knocked out. And I think he had one with like the stiff arms. It's a scary sight when you see somebody have those type of concussions. But a lot of people are calling for him to retire and saying that he needs to put, all this other, he's already made enough money. So that's what the context is around this. And then we'll have a convo about their combo.
And Elle Duncan played the C-section card. Let's watch the clip.
These football players make those decisions every single day as men. Provide, protect. That's our number one priority. That's how most of us think. And that plays a role into the kind of decisions men make, even when they're deemed selfish, foolish, ill-advised, or whatever. It comes with it when you're a man.
Listen, as someone who is a woman who has 2 scars that go from hip to hip because I've had 2 C-sections in an effort to provide for my family and create a family for my family, I understand sacrifice. A black woman in this country whose mortality rates are incredibly high, I understand making sacrifices and trying to mitigate risk when it comes to your family, expanding your family and protecting your family.
What do y'all think, man? Is it? Y'all gonna get me in trouble today. Who sent me this video, man? Let's keep going. Is it a reach? Is it a reach? That's all I'm gonna ask. Like, is it a reach? We're over here talking about it. I don't know. I think there's a lot going on there. It's almost like how you ever had a conversation where you're talking about something that you went through, like, I went through a tough time, and then somebody else, they got to like one up you and say, well, I went through this, but they may relate it to something that's totally different. They're over here having a sports conversation that elevated, obviously because Tua had a few concussions. So this football player has had a bunch of concussions, and people are calling for him to retire. So Stephen A. Smith is making the point that, as men, our role protecting and providing, there's a lot of things that we may do, certain sacrifices that we make in order to put food on the table, provide for our family, and protect our family. She directly related it to a C-section. And it's just like, let's keep going a little bit. I don't want to have to say everything. Let's see what Jason and what's my man here, Steve, right? I don't know. I got his name wrong, my bad.
All I am simply imploring is that anyone in Tua's corner, someone that truly believes and loves Tua, is having a real conversation with him right now about what quality of life looks like. And
I saw, so Shy wrote, she is right, but not for this conversation. It's like, it just had absolutely nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with anything, but let's keep going. Because I may not be as harsh. I may not have as harsh of a stance as they do, or maybe mine's a little harsher. We'll see.
I bring this up because, again, so much money has been dumped into sports that everybody wants a piece of it. And so you got all these women that want a piece of this sports money. They want to be sideline reporters. That's what they used to want to be. Now they want to be hosts. Now they want to debate sports. Now they want to, go toe to toe with, Ryan Clark was the guy out there that actually had played sports at any type of level. Stephen A. Smith didn't even play high school basketball, made up some college basketball career. Obviously, Molly Querim, not an athlete, an IG model that's a decent host. Elle Duncan, Elle Duncan.
Jason got me amped up. I'm going to just say it. Why are women on a sports show talking about football? Why are women on a sports show talking about football? You don't play it. There's no women in the NFL. Why are you inserting yourself in a conversation about football? Why is ESPN hiring women to talk about football? Is she there because she's a pretty face? Do we really think that she's there to give some insight on the game? Did she play sports? I don't know. Why is a woman commenting on a man's game? Does that sound misogynistic? Do I sound rude? Oh, I do. Well, I was just making a point. Because a lot of women say the same thing, like I said the other day, when it comes to abortions, right? We can't have an opinion on abortions. You see, I tried to connect some dots there. So y'all really thought, put in the chat if you thought that I was really being serious. Put in the chat if you thought I was being serious or not. I was, but not. No, let me stop. But all joking aside, that's how silly it is to me when I hear women say stuff like that. And if it's not silly, then I guess the point still stands. But if you heard what I said, and I'm sure a lot of y'all were hearing it, maybe being cringing up a little bit, maybe frowning your face a little bit, saying he sounds a little sexist, all that. But where's the energy when it's about abortions, right? I can't have any opinion on abortions because men will never go through having an abortion. Well, newsflash, ladies, none of y'all are ever going to touch an NFL field. And of course, watch this be the year. Matter of fact, unless you play kicker, because I could see a team who's trying to be, super woke, bringing in a female kicker, and I could definitely see that happening. But y'all get the point. All right, let's keep going with the video.
The same thing. I'm just keeping it real. Everybody wants a piece of the Mo Money deal, and so women are in roles that they really have no business being in. Particularly, she's not a former athlete. She's not some former WNBA player talking about Caitlin Clark.
He's right.
About the NBA. This is an IG model that now thinks that, hey, I had a C-section, and that's analogous. And look, actually, what she went through probably is more difficult than what Tua went through. Brittle glass Joe Tua.
Agreed.
But it's just not the appropriate conversation. It's not what anybody wants, but it's part of this Mo Money, bad product, even from the sports talk TV. Stephen A. Smith is going to get paid $20-25 million a year. He's terrible, doesn't know what he's talking about. They're going to throw him in on NFL coverage more than likely. Ryan Clark actually knows something about football, but in order to get super paid, he has to play some woke idiot and manufacture all this emotion about sports. Mo Money, bad product. We're destroying sports. Your thoughts?
So many thoughts here.
We'll listen to his response and then we'll move on. But it's an interesting conversation, and it's funny because I had a Zoom meeting earlier today talking about football and how dangerous it is. And this gentleman, I was actually on the call with Doug, and one of the gentlemen on there, cool dude named Noble, and he was talking about his kid, how his kid is looking to play football, and Noble didn't want him to play football. But he said, Dad, let me play flag football. This flag football is a big thing. And flag really has changed up a lot of stuff, because I'm not sure if a lot of people know it, but the amount of kids that were showing up for football, especially, high school football, and then, Pee Wee and everything, the numbers were going down after that concussion video. So the NFL was suffering a bit. suffering a bit and in a vulnerable position. Maybe that's why they did a lot. Neither here nor there. The NFL was suffering a little bit, and flag football is one of those things that reignited this flame along with the fantasy football. But we were having a conversation about the injuries and, of course, you start off playing flag football. That's like that's like a gateway drug to you good at flag football. What's the next thing that you want to do? And for me, it's always a tough spot to be in. I have softened up on my stance as far as my kid is never, when I have a child, he's never playing football, never playing football, never playing football. I have softened up on it a little bit. I still will say that he's not going to play football, but even you see, I just switched it. I said not compared to never. It's just a little bit of a softer stance, but we'll hear his response and then we're going to move on because we got a bunch.
Jason, you remember that cinematic classic, "Don't Be a Menace"? Great parody.
Love it. Yeah.
And every time someone said something outlandish, the older Wayans would pop in, "Message." That's what went through my mind when Miss Duncan came up with that soliloquy. By the way, since C-sections are so dangerous, that explains why she is such a frontline soldier for reproductive rights. Now I get it. But here's the thing. That was so inappropriate. Number one, how she interjected herself into it, something you really shouldn't do. And that thing just didn't come out of the left field. That came out of the bleachers. In fact, that came out of the parking lot. Jason, this would be like me and you talking about a game where a certain player makes a diving catch, reaches the ball over the goal line with 8 people hitting him, but he holds onto the ball, but he breaks his ribs, but they win the game because of that play. But he's out for 2 weeks, but what a sacrifice he made. And you would say, Korean Kosel, what did you think of that play? And I would just say, you know what I think? This reminds me about a month ago. I was on the road about 75 miles from my house, and you'd be like, yeah. And I stopped at a gas station to fill up, and I was a little hungry. And I saw that the 3-day-old gas station sushi was on sale. But you know what? I was hungry, and I did it. About 25 miles later, I started getting bubble guts. And you'd be like, yeah, really? I started driving really, really, really fast. Yeah. And then as I'm screaming around the corner, I almost couldn't hold it. Yeah. And then I ran in like O.J. Simpson through the airport, and I barely did it. And I didn't shit myself. That's how heroic that I know what it is to work under pressure, under physical duress. Message.
Y'all get it. We're moving on to the next one. But as far as Tua, that's a tough decision. All joking aside, when it comes to the concussions and stuff, I don't know how I feel about it. You get a certain amount of concussions. Should somebody just walk away from playing football? Something that they love, something that they've enjoyed. It's a big decision to make. It's a big decision. It's easy for me to say, somebody who's not playing, just to say, bro, just stop. You've made millions, but I'm sure it's about a lot more than that for him. But yeah, let's move on. We got our girl Megyn Kelly. I want to play